You ready?
Yep.
Welcome back and Happy New Year. This week we start off with attaching Arabella's 5th starboard plank, and then we'll show you a bit of what each of us did with our first week off in a while. Then we'll be out in the woods with the backhoe in search of oak stumps to carry back to the boathouse. We'll use them to make some extra strong timbers that will be needed later.
So we're back in the boathouse this morning. We steamed the nib here that was having a hard time getting pulled into the rabbet over here. Steaming it softens the wood and makes that a lot easier. So we left that sitting overnight and it looks a lot better. So today what we're gonna do is take this off and oil it, because steaming the wood definitely dries it out, which is a little bit counterintuitive, but that's a fact. And we're not going to work on putting this one on right now. What we want to do is go back over to the other side and fasten that one first. The reason for that is we want to alternate the size that we put the first plank on. So since the last one we put on was this one, we want to make sure that on the other side, the first one we put on is over there. Basically what that does is it keeps the boat from racking out of shape as you're pulling on just one side. So that one is all set over there. It's painted. We painted it yesterday, so we're going to mark out for the dolphinite. We're going to put that on and fasten that today. So let's get that done.
Yeah, I need to be about there.
I don't know if it needs to be past the post now.
No?
That it's shorter.
Okay. Yeah, right there.
Well, folks, welcome to New England. I guess here when it rains, it snows. So we ended up getting a huge snowstorm starting yesterday, and we got a lot of snow. I don't know if you can see this, but there's quite a bit. Oh, Steve is taking down the boathouse with the backhoe. So we need to remove all the snow. Keira and I are actually going to France today, so not ideal timing. At least the snow has stopped, so our flight should be good tonight. But we're using the backhoe and all kinds of things to remove the snow. You can see this is the planking bench. That is at least 8 inches of snow right there. So if any of you were wondering what we were doing with the backhoe, this is part of the reason we got it. Everything here in the boathouse looks okay. Although we got a little bit of sag. We punched a little bit of a hole in the plastic here. But well, this looks alright. This is what a lot of people don't see usually, is the things that happen outside of the project that we still have to take care of. There's a lot on the property that needs a little bit of handling here and there. So like last week we did the leaves, and now we got all this snow. Keira and I are taking a vacation and going to France to visit my dad. Steve was supposed to take the week to go hunting, but looks like we've got a little bit of things to figure out before we do that. We haven't taken a break in, what, 4 years now? So this was supposed to be a little bit of our vacation. But now I'm going to head outside and try to help both of them, Keira and Steve, to get the snow out of here. All right, over now. Well, as you guys can see, we made it to Paris, as you can see from the Eiffel Tower in the background over there. And sorry for the screaming kids downstairs. There's a school right below us. But Keira and I are tired and we're hungry, so we're gonna get our stuff inside here and go find some food. And since this is supposed to be a vacation, we're gonna have limited video. So we just left the Salon Nautique in Paris. It's one of the biggest boat shows in the world, apparently. We just found out it was here while we were talking with my uncle, and honestly, not super impressed. Really felt like a big, expensive boat show with a lot of people with lots of money and lots of big plastic boats. But yeah, no wooden boats for us to see. But no worries, it was kind of fun. Now we're gonna head off and go see my dad and enjoy the rest of Paris.
It was time to get back to work again, and our first big task when we got back was to head out into the woods. We're looking for some stumps that we'll carve out into knees and breast hooks that will be needed down the road.
Alright, so I think if we open this up a little bit more in here, we can get the backhoe up, and before we bring the backhoe in, I'll knock this thing down. Then we can dig this stump, get that out of the way, flatten this back out. We'll have to take these two little maples down, and then we can cut down that oak, dig that stump. And it'll probably be time to go home and have lunch and sharpen some chains and come back to the other ones.
So at that point we'll have, what, a couple of stumps to work with?
Hopefully. I don't think these will take all that long to dig out, but yeah, we ain't gonna know till we start digging.
We tried to pick stumps that were easy enough to get to, but there were a few obstacles that needed to be cleared first. And we collected a bit of firewood for the next year in the process.
Shall we dig a stump?
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Kind of wild watching the whole thing lift up, huh?
When you dropped it, there was like a whoosh of air towards the end.
The neighbors must think we are insane. We got these stumps piled up in the front yard, and we got a few more to go and get. So I know we're in the middle of planking, and it seems like we should really be focusing on planking. But with the build, we've got to keep thinking way in advance to make sure that when we get to the future, we're not held up for some reason. So Arabella is going to need some knees, and she's going to need breast hooks. And those are traditionally cut out of curved grown timbers like these oak stumps. So Hackmatack or Tamarack, whatever you want to call it, is really common for that. And we're pretty sure that's what Victoria had for knees. We don't have those around here since we don't live on a bog. But we do have some really big oaks that grow in wet, rocky soil, and we have a backhoe. So those powers combined, we can dig out these stumps. And what we're looking for is curved grain where it goes from the root into the stem. And those are really rot resistant and really strong. And it's kind of a lottery digging them up. You never really know what the roots are doing underground until you start unearthing them. But the idea is to get enough stumps up here and pull some patterns that we can get them carved out. And the reason we're doing this now is that these need some time to dry before we can install them in the boat. So if we were to wait till, say, this next summer and go out and dig the knees when we need to install them, we would have this soaking wet green timber, and they would move and they would check. So although we're still working on planking, we need to be thinking in advance and making sure that we have stuff ready to go. So right now in the winter, it's a good time. The woods are dormant, the ground is pretty hard. We can get these stumps dug out. We'll get them pressure washed and chainsawed up into rough blanks. We can stack those blanks. And this coming summer, when it's time to install knees, they'll be ready to go. So let's hop over to the other side and we can see kind of these shapes that we're looking for. So these are what we are after. And these are knees that came out of Victoria. So the curve of this grain runs right around this corner. And I'm pretty sure that these are Hackmatack or Tamarack knees. So these are probably cut out of a bog somewhere up north. We don't have access to these, but we do have these oak stumps. And as you can see, we have that shape right here. So that would be the root, and that would be the trunk, and we'll carve that out of one of those. And then the same thing, this is Victoria's breast hook. And this grain kind of runs across here and then comes up. You can see there's a big swirl here. So I'm not sure if this was a rootstock or if this was a really funky branch they cut this out of, but this is also what we're looking for. So these kind of timbers we get out of these roots where they come down the stem here and they cut across. And if you think about it, these roots, they live their entire lives underground. So they are incredibly rot resistant, much more than the rest of the tree itself. So these should make some really, really strong and long-lasting knees. We just got to dig up the stumps, give them a good cleaning, and rough them out with the chainsaw. So let's head up to the woods and go get a few more.
Not light.
Yeah.
I'll pull my pants down. All right. We got tension on it. We'll see about cutting it down.
Sure makes some things a hell of a lot easier. Woohoo!
This tree was pretty promising based on how it ended up growing, but the huge stump wasn't cooperating as well as the first two, and with daylight fading, we decided to move on to grab some easier ones. We'd come back and mess with this one some other day.
Yeah.
And as we were trying to leave our spot here, the hose suddenly sank into the mud and Steve had to do a bit of walking maneuvers with the bucket to get out of there.
Well, couldn't get that last one out, but we've got a little bit of daylight left, so we got one more stump that we're going to try to get out that was cut about a year ago, but looks really solid and is a huge white oak. So, see what we can do before the sun goes down.